Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We'll call to order the April 9th LAFCO meeting. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Mello? All right, thank you. Right off the bat, I'll make an announcement that we are going to shift things around a little bit later on. We're going to switch item 8 and 7 so that we will be doing the informational items before closed session. Just a heads up on that. All right, well, perfect timing. We're about to do roll call. Can we please have roll call?
Commissioners Velasquez,
Here.
Mello,
Here.
Stevens,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
and Chair Zanger.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to approve the affidavit of posting of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the affidavit of posting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public comment. Is there any public comment items not appearing on the agenda? Okay. No public comment. Great. Moving on to 5.1, approval of minutes for the March 12th, 2026 regular meeting. Is there any comments, or if not, a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 That passes 5-0.
5.2, we have the appointment of public member alternate. Stevenson, do we have any type of information on this?
So we have one member that has applied for this position, Mr. Barry Katz. You have options in front of you as to how you'd like to proceed. One option, first and foremost, being asking for a statement from the applicant summarizing why he's interested in the position and a little about himself would be recommended. And then beyond that, you can either choose to vote on whether to appoint him or not, or you can choose to delay the vote if you'd like to solicit additional applicants for the position. A reminder that the vote to appoint does not include the public member. So it is only city and county members that are voting on the appointment.
Okay, thank you. How does the commission want to proceed? You want to have Barry, if you like, and come up and say something at the podium, and introduce yourself if you have interest. If not, we have the letter of interest I see on the agenda. So leave it up to the commission. Do you have any opinion on how to proceed?
I mean, we have this information. I'd just make a motion to approve it.
Excuse me. If I may, Chair.
Yes.
I'd like to ask questions of the person, of
Okay.
the applicant.
Yeah, I think is that as long as that's all good. Yeah, you want to step up and thanks.
Hi, Barry
Hi.
Katz from Aromas. Took me a minute to realize what I was a member of, but I guess I'm a member of the public. Okay. I didn't prepare much except to read mostly what I put in the letter that you already have.
Well,
So
that's
if
all
you
right
have
then.
questions, then you can, I'm fine with just going to questions.
Let's do that. That way we don't have to reread it. We have it here. So yeah, questions from the commission would be great. Leslie, did you have?
I do.
Commissioner Jordan, sorry.
Thank you. That's fine. Thank you. Thanks for the interest in this, and I appreciate you submitting an interest letter. How did you hear about the position?
I think I heard about it from Lynn Mello, but then I read about it and I saw when you posted it on the website.
Awesome.
I had applied about a year ago
Okay.
when Lynn was appointed.
Okay. Thank you. I have a couple of questions, if that's okay. What do you see as LAFCO's primary role in shaping the future of local government and service delivery in the county?
Well, I wrote a little bit about that. Let me see. What did I write here? I just think that I kind of see the direction the county's been going, and I think that the planning should go along with that. And I shouldn't just say the county, but the cities as well. Obviously, whatever growth we have, we need to have the right services to go with it. I suppose my biggest concern is Highway 25. I mean, also, to make sure I understand the LAFCO's position is to make sure that the rules, the state codes are being followed in whether we approve changes that are within the jurisdiction of LAFCO.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I do. How would you balance the interests of individual cities, special districts, and unincorporated communities when making LAFCO decisions?
How would I balance that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it all needs to work properly together. I mean, again, I would probably have to go with the code to see if there are priorities for cities or other districts beyond the county. That's about all I have. I don't know.
Okay,
I need to read a little bit about that code, for sure.
thank you. And when faced with competing viewpoints from local agencies and residents, how would you approach making a fair and informed decision?
Well, I guess if there's competing, then it would be based on two things. First, the code, which seems to be more in compliance with the state rules for what we're supposed to be doing. And then if I might have my own view on the credibility of the people seeking one position or the other.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions at this point?
I just want to say thank you for applying, for being willing to be part of this.
You're
It's a very important position, and your own opinions matter and when you're making decisions up here. Don't ever feel like you're forced to do something. Do what you feel is right, and that's how we're going to get a better community, so thank you.
Is there any public comment on this item before we go too far?
No, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions, comments, or motions from the commission?
I'll make a motion that we approve Mr. Katz as the public member alternate.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Now, Commissioner Mello will not be partaking in this because it's only for the cities and county. So can we please have a roll call vote on this item?
Commissioner Velasquez?
Yes.
Commissioner Mello, you said is recused. Thank you. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
And Chair Zinger?
Yes. Great, thank you. Motion passes.
Appreciate the endorsement.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank
so
you.
much. And I just realized I did not do public comment on the approval of the minutes, so is there, checking if there's any public comment we missed on the minutes? If not, continue. All right, we'll keep
Yes.
moving. Next is item 5.3, presentation by San Benito High School District.
Just a little introduction while they're getting set up here. San Benito High School District's undertaking long-range planning efforts to address continued student enrollment growth. And as part of these efforts, the district is evaluating a proposed new high school site within the Hollister area. The item is for informational purposes only, to provide the commission with early awareness on the district's planning efforts. There's no formal application yet. However, the district anticipates that future actions will include a request for annexation of the proposal site into the city of Hollister, and that would require LAFCO review and approval. So this is part of maintaining open communication and coordination with the district as the project progresses.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be before you. Dr. Sean Tenenbaum, the proud superintendent of the high school district. I want to thank the chair, Zanger, and all the commissioners, Mayor Stevenson, and our executive officer, Jennifer Stevenson, for the opportunity today. This is truly an honor for us to come before you. We put about 2 or 3 weeks worth of work into this presentation to really synthesize and have an analysis for you that we feel is very fact-based and our approach to the presentation. But this is going to be a team effort, and everything we do at the high school is all about team. Trying to educate our 35, roughly 100 students. So we'll have Mr. Jeff Small and obviously Mr. Carson Clower. We do have in the audience today Miss Jennifer Baker. She's from Sacramento, and she's another one of our team members. So, but before we start, I want to say thank you again, but I also want to encourage you to ask questions. So please, if there's a question on a particular slide, please, ask the question. If we don't have an answer immediately, we'll get back to you. Our goal is to be very transparent. Our goal is to be very welcoming regarding your questions, but also very fact-based in the information that we're providing. So without further ado, I'll jump right in. I think the title is very fitting. We have a shared responsibility, and I was sharing with my board the presentation the other day, and I said, the most important thing between the city, the county, San Juan Bautista, you could be the mayor, you could be a supervisor, you could be a public interest, you could be a staff member, we all have common ground. And that common ground is you want a healthy, vibrant, prosperous community. And we want the same thing. Our students and our staff and our community and our parents are your constituents. So it doesn't matter if you're in trustee area 1 for my trustees or, a city council area, they are our voting populace. So number one, when we come back to our common ground, I just want to remind everybody that we're here in the best interest of our community. We want to take that shared responsibility as we partner to move forward. Okay, let's see if we can get this little clicker thing here moving. Yeah, you got it, Daisy? Thank you. Okay. Battery seems to die out a little bit. Okay, so agenda-wise, we're focusing on 6 key areas. 1, a collaborative approach, which I've kind of introduced. The reality of our situation, the constraint that we face, the solution, coordination with the land use agencies, and action items. And many of you, we have been, before, presentations to the county, the city. We've met with you. We've been before LAFCO, and we're continuing on this journey together. And so that is a big approach for us. Thank you, Daisy. So again, I'm going to reemphasize this because I think it's really important. The district can't do this alone. We need to work together. We need to partner. There's not enough money for the district to do it alone. There's not enough people power for the district to do it alone. Whether it's the city, whether it's the county, whether your agendas are our efforts, we must work together. And so, my hand is reaching across the table today to really ensure that we have that collaborative approach because our future generations really depend on it. There's nothing more important than an educated populace, and there's nothing more important than a vibrant and healthy community. And education is at the forefront. And I know many of you believe in that. I met with you, and so I want to come back to that. And last but not least on this particular slide, is really join us in the effort. We can't do this alone. We need all the help we can get, but all your ideas help to synthesize into a great product. A little bit of the background and just to run through a few iterations. We've had many iterations of our facilities master plan since I've started. This is my 10th year as the superintendent. And we've gone through almost an iteration of a facilities master plan every single year. Jeff has been fantastic in really curating that and articulating our information. But most recently, the 22, 23, 24, and 25 FMPs have really guided us. And they've guided our district and our board with our effort. I want to thank the city of Hollister and the mayor profusely for your policy development. Your policy development is truly a framework and a vehicle for success. And I've looked at many general plans. I've looked at the previous. I looked at the '05 general plan. Probably read every page. I might be one of the few constituents out there that have read that. But I want to thank you for the policy development. And we see this as a really unique opportunity to collaborate. So thank you very much. And last but not least for Sean, on the next slide, Daisy, we went through and we identified all of the different policies within the general plan that are not only supportive of the second high school or the high school district, but really supportive of education in general. And that to me is the most important, is that having that common ground, whether it's a category 1, a safety policy, number 2, planning and infrastructure, or category 3, funding. So without further ado, Mayor, we want to thank you and your team and your efforts, because we notice. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And Dr. Tannenbaum spoke about the history that we've had with the facilities master plans dating back to 2020. The most recent facilities master plan dropped this past November. We're very proud of it. Not only does it represent the needs of the district over the short term, but we tried to really piggyback on your 15-year general plan history. So our facilities master plan extends from 2025 to 2040. We've done, as you can see, just a lot of work, and I know many of you are very familiar with it, but we're very proud of the fact that we did get a $3 million grant from the state for teacher workforce housing. We're very excited about that, because as the community grows, the student population grows, hence the need to retain and recruit teachers to support high-quality education in our community. And the next slide, please. And the next two, please. So we all know the reality. There's been a lot of growth in the city and the county since 2000, and you can see the numbers up there. I know you're familiar with the growth in the city and the county. The school district is simply a reflection of the population growth that occurs in the city and the county. So as you grow, we grow as well. And what we're really trying to do over the last 5 years is we've been trying as hard as we can to manage the growth that currently exists. Next slide, please. So if I may just interject a little bit of levity here. We are the proud owner of the silver medal. We've come in second place as being the second largest comprehensive high school in Northern California. Probably not an award that we'd like to win, but here we are. We've had a very, one of the top 3 growth rates in the state. Many districts have declining enrollment. Of course, our population is growing, we're growing too, and we're growing very quickly. So it's not just a matter of managing the growth that has taken place. We now have the challenge of managing the growth that is on the horizon. Next, please. So one of the most fascinating aspects of working on a facilities master plan every year is looking at all the development within the city and the county. And it's not just like looking at, projects or applications, but it's also looking at what building permits remain. We're very focused on making sure every student has a seat in a classroom. Now, within the city of Hollister, there's about 3,365 potential units in the pipeline, and our pipeline, again, is a little bit more expansive than how you might define it in a housing element, because if you've received an application, if we know that someone is moving forward with the development or it's in process, we're counting it, because those students will come. And if you look at our 15-year horizon, we know that those students are going to come over a certain period of time. Now, within the county, we're counting 3,300 potential units. So all in, that's 6,669 future housing units. For planning purposes, we're looking at, well, what happens at build-out? Well, at build-out, we did a case study a few years back. We get 0.35 as our peak generation rate from every home. So basically, that leads to approximately 2,300 students that would be generated from just development that is known to us. And in fact, that would be phase 1 and phase 2 of our second high school. So next.
Thank you. And I'm Carson Clower. I'm the district's broker as well as land use consultant. So just to kind of dip into the housing elements real quick for both the city and the county. Both entities have been working hard for really like 3 or 4 years now to get something acceptable to the state. And for our purposes, we have to look at the max potential number of units that you are proposing within your housing elements. For the city, that's going to be 8364 for the 6th cycle, taking us to 2031. It's a big number. There's a lot of buffer in there, but it is something that we have to keep in mind. For the county, even though your RENA allocation number is 754, the max potential units is actually 4428. Another big number that takes into consideration a lot of rezones that are happening to be compliant with the state and the update of the general plan for the city. Even though those numbers are unlikely to be hit within the 6th cycle, it's important to remember that if we do everything correctly and everything goes our way with actually getting a high school approved and built, that's not going to happen until probably after the end of the 6th cycle, 2031. So even if you don't see 12,000 units, which I don't think you're going to see that many units, you're still going to see a lot of them, and we have to plan for that number of students that are going to be coming in when those units are built.
Well, as Dr. Tenenbaum said, it's really important to us that we collaborate and work with you. And we're very much aware of the housing elements for both the county and the city. And we want to take a very practical, realistic view. We know that, and Carson mentioned, all the site rezones. We're taking almost a wait and see approach. We're going to look at development every year, just like we have since 2000. We don't want to overproject the impact of rezoning. What we are really focused in on is our pipeline projects of 6,669 housing units that we feel we're going to have to accommodate the 2,300 students from. That being said, to give a fair read to the housing element, if the city, in the city's case, if there's a RENA number of 4,163 and you were to subtract out the pipeline projects that we're aware of, which we think is, it's fair to do. We're not over projecting at that point. That's about an additional 280 students that would need to be housed. As far as the county goes, there is so much development that we're currently aware of. We're not looking at, creating additional housing units at this point. We do know that if all the rezones were to happen, or if the rezones for moderate or market rate housing, were to occur, yes, that would significantly impact our enrollment, and we need to look and accommodate those space. But we are more than happy to work with you annually to make sure that we are not over projecting, and we're providing classroom space for all the students that are, in the district and within the city and the county. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Jeff. So one of the things that I think is very important for the city and the county, when we take a look at the constraint that we have, Daisy, if you can go to the next slide, we have a legal obligation. Our legal obligation is that we, have to house safely all of the children that come on our doorstep, and we do that well. I'm extremely proud of the school community. And as members of our overall community, you should be really proud of what the product is happening at that high school. I know some of you have children to go through there. I know some of you may have gone to school there. I know some of you will have grandchildren going there. For a high school of our size, and to be able to do the programs and the complexity that we do a phenomenal job. And it's not a one-person show. It's a team effort from our staff, from our classified to our certificated staff. But the complexities are different today than they were yesterday. When I coached Chris in football, and that was a 20-year period ago, high school was different. When I went to high school, there was no cell phones. Now we're putting in a cell phone policy. We're having to work on those things. And along the way, the complexities that you face which are grand. There are huge complexities as the county and the city. We're facing those too. School is getting ever more complex in the compliance that we have to do. And all along, I couldn't be more proud of the product that we have every single day, with over a 95% attendance rate. You should be really happy your kids are coming to school. They're vibrant, you know, and it's not just school at 7 o'clock in the morning. They don't leave till 10:30 at night, you know, and we want that. We want our children active. So I think this slide is very fitting, because as we look to, you know, new housing developments, we look to partner with both the city and the county and LAFCO. With the best interest in mind is we want to make sure that we're not overcrowded, because overcrowding means that a child can't get a class. And I want to emphasize that just for a second. So let's say that Chair Mello or Commissioner Mello has a daughter in school, and that daughter wants to take a culinary class. We have one culinary teacher who offers 5 sections. We're very fortunate to have that pathway, but you can imagine with 3,400 students, everybody vying for a culinary class. So what we try to do is we try to offer as many pathways as possible. We have 13 in 3 academies and 22 AP classes, et cetera, but the constraints start to happen as you only have one opportunity for so many children. And it's even greater when we take a look at a basketball program. And I'll give you an example. In a basketball program, we have 5 people on the court. We probably have 15 on a team. And when we have the amount of students that we have that are athletically minded in this community, we are starting to weed kids out before they even get to high school. And you hear that at the Little League fields, you hear that in softball. And our goal is to create opportunity. The more active teenagers are and the more we can keep them active, the better citizens they are. Next slide, please, Daisy. So this is a real good opportunity for the commission. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Our CBEDS enrollment was 3,405 in the fall. That is our official number. When we extrapolate out all the students in the TK to 8 pipeline that we know of, these are known students in our pipeline. And just to remind the commission, we receive roughly 94% of the 8th graders in this county. And so we're pulling from a vast array of different schools and districts. We forecast out moderate to slight growth next year, just based on the 8th graders. And then we forecast that out and we look at bubbles in the TK to 8 pipeline. So we look at our 3rd graders, our 4th graders, and we look at the incoming classes of kindergartners. And so 15 years out with our projection, we're over 4,000. Again, that is without no new homes being built. Next slide, please, Daisy. So then we add a second layer. And again, we're using that student generation rate that Mr. Small talked about. It's the student generation rate that we've shared in our FMPs year over year. We start to layer on what could happen. Again, these are potential numbers. If we go back one slide, those are numbers that we know are going to come. And those particular numbers are what we have to plan for. With a capacity at 3,405, we must accommodate. So if we're looking at year 2030, 31, we've now got 700 new students at Hollister High School, and we have to accommodate that. And then when we take the next slide, please, Daisy, the next look, and the opportunity to potentially expand a 63-acre site. I'm not sure how many of you have driven by the high school in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30. But if you want to do a great field trip, come with me and we'll walk around the high school at 8:30, 8:50. The amount of congestion and traffic, I mean, it is just impacted. And I say that because over 90% of our students come to school in an automobile. So when we think about, you know, we're a comprehensive high school, we serve 1,190 square miles in the county. Kids are coming by automobile. Not everybody is walking or riding their bike. I wish they would, right, to reduce greenhouse emissions and vehicle miles traveled. But that is a real constraint for us. To expand to that number, we would not only be the #1 largest high school, public comprehensive high school in the state of California, we might be an anomaly in the western U.S. And so those are things that we take a look at. How do we provide that safe environment for everyone? Next slide, please, Daisy. So my colleague is going to talk a little bit about the solution, and I'll turn it over to Carson.
Thank you. Yeah, so our solution here is what we're calling the San Benito Educational Campus. This is going to be made up of two things, which is the second high school site and also workforce housing that Jeff mentioned earlier. This was a community-driven process that was led by Facilities Needs Committee that I think maybe was 4 years ago. There was, I think, about 75 people involved. We had staff from the county as well as city staff input and participation. Based off of the recommendations from the Facilities Needs Committee, the district moved forward with acquiring 2 sites. Next slide, please, Daisy. And the criteria that came out of the Facilities Needs Committee is here in order of kind of importance from the committee itself. Number 1 obviously came up as the location being compared to where the students actually live. So we're going to see on the next slide in a minute that a good chunk of the student population comes from one area of town, and the location that's been utilized for the second high school site is very close to that location. Daisy? Okay, so any sites have to go through what's called Title V compliance. This is the state looking at a variety of different hazards and geological hazards, locations of utilities, any issues with the soils. There's an aeronautical review for sites that are within 2 miles of the airport. So any site that the district selects goes through that process. We also have a heat map, which is going to be on the next slide, and then obviously the interagency coordination I talked about. Daisy? Okay. Okay, so this is the most up-to-date version of a map that you've probably seen before in other presentations, but the denser the student population, the darker yellow it is. So you can see kind of the single dots are sparse locations where the students actually live, and then the yellow areas where there's a bunch of blue dots is where the majority of the student population comes from. So when we looked at this as a Facilities Needs Committee 3-4 years ago, we noticed, like you're probably doing right now, that there's a bright yellow spot on the west side where a good chunk of the student population resides. Next slide, please. So when we took in that information and then we had to do the site selection process, this was something that I was involved with intimately. It took about 2 years to kind of comb through sites, look at the different hazards that are out there, talk to potential sellers. There really wasn't anything on the market that met the needs of the district. So just kind of keep that in mind as a constraint on which parcels are actually available and what number somebody might ask for their property. You might be surprised by the numbers that get thrown out and the number of zeros that are on the end of that number. So things that we took into consideration was parcel size and or the ability to agglomerate smaller parcels. District needs at least 45 acres for a full-size high school. There's not a single parcel within the city limits that is that size. So from the get-go, we knew we were going to be looking at something in the county and that we were going to have to go through the process that we're eventually going to be requesting, which is the annexation process. Another important item is proximity to services. We don't want to be at miles from sewer. We don't want to be miles from electrical. Not only is that hard to get approved to bring those services in, it's also very expensive. We'd like to have multimodal accessibility, so being able to walk into campus if you want. It'd be great if we had bike lanes, not always the case, but being able to get there on bike would be great. Public transportation, and then obviously, as most people get to school, it's usually by car. Something else to keep in mind, existing natural and man-made hazards. These include fault lines, which is in yellow. Green is going to be your flood zone. Not on this map, but there's also fire hazard zones that we had to keep in mind. The pink is for the aeronautical, 2 miles from the airport there. And then again, the availability and the owner willingness to cooperate. Most owners said thanks, but no thanks. We have big dreams of what we can do with our property in 1, 10, 50 years down the road. And luckily we were able to meet with some people who were willing to work with us. Okay, so this is a preliminary kind of version of what we believe the educational campus could look like. On the right, you see the high school campus, which would be built in phases, just because of the amount of investment that it would take to be able to build a full-scale high school. And then on the left, you have what we're calling the educator community, which is going to be workforce housing, and it wouldn't be limited just to San Mateo High School District teachers and staff. It's something that would be available for Holster School District, county, city employees. So it's something very exciting. We don't have anything like this around here. And as Jeff mentioned, there's kind of a $3 million seed that came from the state to begin this process and hopefully bring it to fruition. Other items on this particular slide to keep in mind, there is a potential for a public park, which you see on the left, and then possible collaboration with local nonprofits.
So my colleague Carson was talking a little bit about the second high school, and we want to make sure for the commission that the high school would not be built in one full swoop. Hollister High School was built over decades and decades and decades and decades. If you look at the school from the 40s, the football field was right behind on West Street, where we have current classrooms. There were orchards, right, where our student union is. The Matalich property was there. The math and science campus was not existent at all. So we want to make sure that we are very communicative to the community that we will build over time. We're going to build in phases. And when we say phases, we have to accommodate a large enough student body to be able to house a master schedule, to be able to offer all of the required courses. So we believe phase one will be about 1,200 students, give or take. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more. With a full build out of roughly 2,400 students over time. Again, I want to emphasize that when schools are built, and typically when high schools are built in the state of California now, they're not maxed out and built all at once. They are largely expensive to do in the state of California, and they're not built very often. Why are they not built very often? Well, 65% of the school districts in the state are declining in enrollment. We are one of the 35% that are increasing in enrollment. And so when we take a look, we want to be very judicious. We want to be very logical. We also want to be very prudent with our fiscal resources. Next slide, please, Daisy.
Thank you very much. Next slide, please. So as we all know, the state of California has had some, I'll call it some pretty difficult housing laws. And we've all sort of experienced the fallout of those. The state knows that these new housing developments are causing existing schools to become overcrowded. And they also realize that existing law really is not helping us in any way. And I think a limitation on what we can get from developers to mitigate the impact of their development is just a great example of that. And we know the city and county face that very same issue when it comes to accommodating public infrastructure with money coming from new development. We also know that the cities and the county, they have to implement general plan and housing elements that also greatly, impact the educational facilities. And really, they do require construction of a second high school, not only based on the existing development that's happened, but really being exacerbated by the growth that the state really is encouraging to come forward. Next, please. So I think that, and we think the city has done a really great job in terms of putting together supportive policies, not only for, San Benito High School District and public education, but really for themselves too, in the planning for their public facilities. I really want to take an opportunity to say that on behalf of the district, we do thank you, Mayor Stevens, for keeping these policies intact, particularly the construction of a second high school and supporting our efforts to do so. we know that you understand the need for that, and we appreciate the collaboration in helping us move forward. Furthermore, we also applaud the city for recognizing that financing public infrastructure as a result of new development is super important. And you did adopt policy CSF 1.3. I guess that's coming to your council April 20th. But that really does a lot. I mean, to be able to, it may not give us more funding, but it's getting people to think and talk about the fact that if you want to do development, it's going to have an impact on public infrastructure. What is the financing plan for that? How is that actually going to happen? So when you put forth specific plans and you want to enter into a development agreement, to the extent that there is an opportunity to say, hey, as a precondition of development, we want, if you want to annex, I think a lot of the rezoning has been done, maybe more to come. I think we'll wait for your direction on that. But we do see this as a very unique policy, and it is very supportive of what we're trying to come up with. But I suppose, most importantly, we're all interested in compliance. And Policy 1.1, I think, does a really good job in saying, hey, to the extent that, future growth is impacting the capacity of our public facilities, we want to approve development where that is mitigated. So we want to be in compliance. And that's really what we're trying to achieve here. And I don't know if Carson or Dr. Tannenbaum have anything else to say about the supportive policies, but sure.
I'd just like to point out real quick CSF 1.2, which is essentially what you guys are doing here today in coordination of facilities and services planning. The new general plan update explicitly says that our jurisdiction sewer service is not going to happen unless it's an emergency. So for us to be able to get sewer service, we have to work with you guys to come into the city. And being able to work together as a district, city, county, this is a big project, but really it's a microcosm of everything that happens here locally, and that most of the services that take place, whether it's fire, animal, Sunny Slope water, it happens across jurisdictions, and we need to be able to work together to be able to plan for and hopefully build the facilities that our community needs.
So again, I want to compliment Mayor Stevens and your council. I've shared the policies with superintendents up and down the state. And the first two policies regarding safety and the very last one regarding safety, all of them just applauded the effort to really focus on not only the infrastructure, as my colleagues talked about, the funding, but really looking at how do we want to ensure safety for all of our constituents, not just our students, but pedestrians, bicyclists, automobiles, et cetera, in the coordination. So my hat's off to you, and I did want to pass along those compliments.
Next slide, please.
Yeah, as everybody knows, there's been a couple different iterations of the general plan update that have come through the last few years. The previous version had a expanded sphere of influence along Buena Vista that would have included the parcels that the district owns and is hoping to construct the second high school on. The newest version, which I expect will be adopted in the next couple weeks, does not have a expanded sphere of influence that would accommodate these parcels. We would have to come to LAFCO anyways to actually get into the city, but it means that we need to not only get into the sphere, but also get into the city. So we'll be coming to you at a certain point. Next slide, please. And as to be in compliance with the new policies put in place by the general plan update, we'll have to initiate pre-zone, hopefully sometime in the coming months before the end of the year, and also do a specific plan. Any annexation over 20 acres is going to require a specific plan. So we'd be looking to do a general plan amendment to accommodate the zoning that's needed, an annexation, which will come to you guys for that, and then a specific plan will be designed for that area. The ultimate number of acres for the specific plan will be sorted out in conjunction with the city and the planning department, because you guys know that you'd like to see a kind of a uniform shape that has to do with the annexation. So we do expect that we'll be working closely with city staff and hopefully come before the city council by the end of the year to get an opinion on the initiation of pre-zone and annexation. As I mentioned in the past, the general plan amendment would encompass the homeroom pledge, which is the second high school site plus the workforce housing. And then just a kind of a note here at the bottom, we're focused on high school number 2, but as things expand, eventually we'll have to kind of consider a high school number 3. I don't think that's anytime soon, but part of the problem we have here is that the planning that maybe should have been done 20 years ago wasn't done. So we'd like to get out in front of it and leave a framework for the next group of people who have to plan this stuff to not start at ground zero.
The San Benito High School District supports LAFCO's mission of not only preserving agricultural land, but also the concept of orderly regional development. Our proposed high school site, our second high school site, that decision was one that was based on logic. We looked at a heat map as Carson showed you. He showed you where our current students come from, where our future students come from, and our school needs to be in a location that can efficiently serve the public. Part of that means that we need a school that is close to families and students. We know that traffic congestion is a major issue here in the community. It certainly is, as Dr. Tannenbaum mentioned, at Hollister High, to the extent that we can have a walkable, bikeable community and avoid taking students from one end of the city to the other, at the same time, before school, after school. We see this as a very prudent infrastructure efficiency. We're asking you to prioritize some social needs. We know that there's known development, and we know that over the next 15 years, we're going to have at least 2,300 and likely far more students than that. That is an essential mission of ours, to be able to provide classroom space for those students. So we're asking to balance that social need with transitioning a portion of very precious land that is contiguous, or at least adjacent to the city, so we can have a second high school that is in a logical place. It's an efficient place. And I know that some have felt that, under the old general plan, that it could have been growth inducing. Certainly with the current general plan as proposed, I think that there's been a lot of control taken back, where you can control that growth. But we are, as Carson mentioned, looking at a general plan amendment so we can have an essential public facility that serves existing students that belong to the city, the county, and the district. Next slide, please.
So I'll go ahead and summarize the presentation and walk you through our next action items. I want to thank the commission and Chair Zanger and all of you for the opportunity and the honor to come before you. I hope you found the information was not only informative, but helpful. My door is always open. If you have a question, you'd like to come over and do a field trip at the high school, I'm sure all of the teenagers would enjoy seeing you. But our goal here is, one, to work as a partnership, to work as a team. We have common ground. And the next steps for the district will be to advance the general plan amendment, secure the city's sponsorship for the annexation, and to come back before LAFCO. So our ultimate goal today was foundation building. It was a prelude of actions and information to come. But again, I want to thank everybody and my colleagues, Mr. Clower, Mr. Small, Ms. Baker, and many others that contributed to this presentation. So if there are any questions, all three of us are available. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's check public comment first. If there's any public comment?
No, sir.
Great. Any questions, comments from the commission at this time?
Thank you. I just had a brain fart. Sorry. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Come back to me,
We'll come
'cause
back to you. Any other
thanks.
commissioners have any comments?
I'll just make a comment. I just want to thank the three of you and Ms. Baker as well for coming to give us this information. As I've sat with Dr. Tenenbaum in his office with another fellow council member and some other people to talk about some of the struggles. And the reality is, as we had a very, very frank and honest discussion about the challenges that not only the city faces, but the school and how that impacts everybody who lives in this area. And it's a very, very difficult position to be in. And I think in the coming months, there's a lot of or years even, I shouldn't say the months, but years, lots of problems to solve, and it's not going to be easy. But I do appreciate the willingness to be open and to work together, and also to listen to the concerns that the city has, because there are so many concerns that come with the site proposal, as well as even as much as we need the workforce housing, but there are issues that come with that, as well as building another high school in that area. So, and we had some open discussions about that, and also the heavy burden that can place on the city of Hollister. But nevertheless, I agree with your sentiment earlier on about how this has to be a team effort, and I appreciate that. But I also think that it is really important that for all those involved to be very open and honest and willing to hear about each other's challenges, so that we don't proceed with something without recognizing that we have to solve problems, and we have to move carefully and strategically as we work to ensure that our students have a great educational experience, as well as the burdens that the city carries when we take on additional responsibilities. But I just wanted to thank the three of you for that, and also especially Dr. Tenenbaum and others who we've met with at the high school, for your willingness to hear us out and for us to be able to have those frank conversations. I just wanted to say that.
Feelings mutual. Likewise.
Okay, now it's my turn.
That's right.
And you guys know I'm more blunt about my views and opinions on these things. This is why developers hate me so much. But I'm going to tell you, the area you're talking about is some of the best farmland we have in this county. Now what we're talking about is taking that, building a high school, and then building thousands of houses around it, because that's really what this is about. What I don't think people understand is the minute you do that, now we have massive traffic issues in the area. We have to pay not millions, hundreds of millions to upgrade 156 in that area, not to mention all the other roads leading to it. You have a property right now that you want to sell to developers to build 1,100 units, making the conversation we just had even worse. I think it's time to just step back, look at better ways to do this. Mr. Tenenbaum, you and I have talked about this. Mm-hmm. Carson, I know we've had these conversations for years. You know, the ways of let's just build a high school here and there and everything will be great, those days are over. Now they're a more specialized campus. And you've seen this with your the science building you have, technology. The kids love that. I know, because I was a parent that got to take my kid there all the time. Let's start thinking in different ways. You have a property now that actually makes sense, because the growth that's happened over the last decade has been on the east side of this town. And in reality, those people on that side of town have to drive much further to get to the campus, current campus, than the people in the area you're talking about. the people in the area you're talking about are much closer to the existing campus. So it doesn't really make sense. Let's get back to focusing on what you had, getting a campus there, because look, now you have Gavilan College right there. What better partnership than the high school and Gavilan right there, sharing resources? It makes more sense. Selling that property to build, was it 1,100 houses you want to build or something over there? Try to get into the builder's remedy at the last minute? It's hurting our community, and it's exactly what we call bad planning. This rush of these developers to try to get under the wire here. And at the county level, at the city, we just fixed that. We just fixed it. We planned for workforce housing within the city, so it takes the need away of, we got to do this over here. No, we have that plan. We have a great plan in place. What we need to do is not make the same mistakes. And again, I know developers are furious at me for saying this, but what we don't need is to build a high school so that thousands of units can be built around that high school, taking all the and again, I don't know if you understand this. This is some of the best farmland, not only this county, but the state. And we're going to lose it because of this? Let's step back. Again, you have land, now you own it. Can't we build a campus for 1,000 students that have a partnership with Gavilan College so they can go straight on? They can do the partnership so when they graduate from high school, they have their AA? Because I tell you, both my kids are at college right now, and it's costing me a fortune for these kids to be at the universities. But if they had finished their 2 years here locally, it would only be 2 years we'd have to be taken care of. So let's go back to, rather than trying to spread around everywhere, let's go back at what you already have and partner in ways that make sense. I'm all for that. And, you know, I've had this conversation with you in the past. Let's make sense of what we have rather than this idea that we'll build 1,100 homes where your property is now, build a campus on the primest ag land in the state, and then have thousands of houses built around that so that we have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build the new highways around that. We can't afford it, and it makes no sense for us anymore. Let's step back and go back to what our community is, ag. Let's protect it and do it right. That's when we can work as partners, and that's when I'll be your biggest champion out there, if we make sense of these things. But if we're not, if we're just going for more growth, it makes no sense. And this developer remedies projects you're talking about, a lot of them are not even going to qualify because they were just jammed in the hopes of forcing us to do something. But thankfully, we all work together to put a better plan together. I don't want to go back to those old ways. We just can't do it, and we shouldn't do it in our community. My opinion only.
Well, it's a rare day. I'm going to agree with you on college debt. College debt is out of control, and our students right now are burdened with college debt, many of the community members. So we do have a strong partnership with Gavilan. I think many of you know that we have probably one of the strongest regional partnerships in the state of California. We have over 500 students dual enrolled right now, and those are taught on our campus. And many of our local students and soon-to-be students will be participating in those dual enrollment courses. I completely agree with you, Supervisor Velasquez, that reducing student debt, creating opportunity, and breaking the cycle of poverty is extremely important to the district. That is why we developed our academies. We have 3 specialized academies on campus: the Health Academy, the Early College Academy, and the Educator Academy. So we can't wait for teachers to be grown elsewhere. We actually have to grow them ourselves. And so, we have some really strong common ground. And thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
Thank you. I appreciate the collaboration and the time that y'all have spent meeting with LAFCO. I mean, we've seen you here for years, intergovernmental and with the city of Hollister. What's the developer's obligation? You have all of this development that you listed on one of your slides. What's their obligation for a high school?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. what should their obligation be, or what is their obligation? I think those are two really important questions. So, under the law, they're only statutorily required to pay developer fees based on what our fee rate is every year, just like Hollister School District, just like Aroma San Juan. Whether it's a level 1 fee or a level 2 fee, we have to go through that justification every single year. And so right now we're going through that. I think the city and the county will both receive our draft SFNA this Friday. And it looks like our fee rate would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $3.62 a square foot. And if you extrapolate that to potentially build a second school, it is largely deficient. And so it's unfortunate. We're both constrained, cities and counties, by the law. But we have to go through that justification, and unfortunately, it's just not enough, Commissioner Jordan, so.
Thank you. Disappointing, but thank you. And the housing that you propose, the educator housing, it's just not for faculty, correct?
Correct. So the plan would be that it's a cascading prioritization, so that every unit would have an educator first priority, and then that would fall to educator, meaning our classified and our certificated staff, and that would be countywide. I think Carson alluded to that, so that could be a teacher at North County at Spring Grove School. And so there would be a priority for our district first, and then it would go to all the schools, and then it would come to the jurisdiction, so city, county, water districts, so any of the civil servants, fire, police, law enforcement, AMR, and then last but not least, it would go out to the public. And so we want to make sure that we're communicating that. We're not just looking out for the best interest of our district, but for looking out for the best interest of the community as a whole.
Thank you. As a commissioner, I appreciate that. And this has very, very little impact on RENA numbers for either the county and
The workforce housing?
the housing, yeah.
It just depends on the percentages, but I think, that's something that we're going to work with our partner, whether that be, the city or the county. And I think in this case, we're looking at trying to create affordability. Affordability is not just something that is a community-wide issue. It is really acute for the school district. Why is it acute? Because teachers can't afford to live in their own community anymore. And I say that with new teachers. So we're experiencing new teachers that are living with mom and dad and commuting from as far away as Los Banos right now because they can't find vacancy rate or market rate affordability in our community. And so it is an acute problem.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Okay, well, thank you. It's informational, so I appreciate the update on everything. And there's nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks. The conversation.
All right, moving on to item 5.4, LAFCO financial reports and invoices for Q3 to 25-26.
There's nothing significant here. This is for your information only, unless you'd like to provide feedback or direction on a particular item or something you'd like to see in the future. As you know, I provide quarterly breakdowns on expenses that we've had. This is for quarter 3, so what are we now? January through March. There's nothing of significance for me to focus your attention on for that quarter. And that's about it for this item.
Thank you. Public comment, I assume there's none.
No, sir.
Correct, all right. Back to the commission. Anyone have any questions, comments on this item? Okay. Executive officer, is there anything, the action to be taken? This is just informational?
Just informational, no action needs to be taken.
All right, very good. Well, thank you. Moving on to 6.1, proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27.
The proposed budget, as required by LAFCO law, you must consider and approve a proposed budget by the beginning of May. So this is the first draft, and you'll have a final budget come before you in June. If you look in your packet, Exhibit A provides a breakdown of the couple of previous fiscal years and what the budget was for those years, and then what the year-to-date expenditures are, and then the proposed budget. There are a couple of items that I'll draw your attention to as soon as I find it. There we are. There are only a few items that I am proposing be increased. One being the first line item, services and supplies for tech support. I'm proposing to increase it from $6,500 to $9,000 to meet the increase in expenditures for the new dock access component of the streamline service that you approved at our last meeting. So that will accommodate that increase. The other increases are entirely focused on the potential for all 5 commissioners, regular commissioners, to go to this conference in Sacramento this year. Because it's nearby and drivable, it provides access for more participation if you'd like. So that would be increase registration from 3,000 this current year to 4,500. And then increasing commissioner, let's see here, lodging as well from 3,520 to 5,000, as well as the meals and mileage from 300 to 600, and from 1,500. Actually, the mileage I kept the same because Sacramento isn't too far. But otherwise, those are the only increases I'm proposing, and they're fairly nominal. The other items, there was an actual decrease proposed for security. We haven't had to make use of that in the last couple of years, so I'm proposing to decrease it from 1,500 to 1,000. Reducing the public works expenses down to 0. I'm unclear what this was used for previously, but we no longer make payments to public works. And then reduction in clerk costs. We have not in any previous year come close to spending the entirety of the budgeted amount, but this just a reduction of 1,000, and will still be sufficient for that line item. And then finally, a reduction for medical insurance and OPEB responsibility. I know that's a rarity, but once again, we have not come close to spending the amount that was budgeted, and we've seen a reduction recently, which is outstanding, so I'm recommending a reduction from 10,000 to 8,000. Finally, the only other item I want to draw your attention to is a couple of years ago, a policy was approved to maintain a reserve fund of 50% of your budgeted amount. So in this proposed budget, the budget is $242,000, so it would be half of that. At this point, you have a cash balance of $138,000. However, there are still a couple of months left in spending, so that will be down below that by the end, probably closer to $100,000 by the end of the fiscal year. So we are nearing the 50% reserve that was outlined in the policy that was approved. It says that if we reach 50%, a reserve of 50%, then anything in excess will be returned to the city and county. I don't think that's an issue this fiscal year coming up for 26-27, but by the end of 26-27, I think we will be at that point and into the next fiscal year. So we'll have to consider that in the next round of budgeting. And that is all I have. So this is a public hearing item, so you do need to open a public hearing and then consider the resolution that's in front of you to approve the proposed budget. with any edits that you'd like to make.
Great, thank you. So then we will open the public hearing and check for public comment.
No public comment.
Great. Any comments or questions from commissioners this time?
I have,
Okay.
haven't been with you guys for a couple of years, but I can say that that travel budget is much too high. Should be cut back. We shouldn't be, unfortunately, a lot of these organizations will have trainings all over the state, and when they fly you there, or you fly there, you find out that the hotel rooms that night are $450 a night, or some other crazy amount of money. I just really don't believe it's a wise thing to be doing. Here it's year to date, I think you had 1,600, 1,800. Just, I think it should be cut back down to numbers that are more realistic, maybe $2,000 max. It shouldn't be at $4,500, $5,000. A lot of the trainings nowadays you can do online. Matter of fact, you can watch all these things online if you're really that interested, rather than traveling around the state. Thank you.
So just to clarify on that, so there's two separate, there's the travel and then the training, right? There's two separate line items there.
Right, one is for the registration,
That's
which,
the 4,500.
right. And then the lodging and the meals. Typically, the meals are included in the registration for the conference as well, so that's why it's nominal. And then the mileage item, yeah. So this year, typically we've sent in the past about 2 commissioners, but with it being in Sacramento, it's more accessible. And the CalAFCO conference, I would say, is a great opportunity. It only happens once a year, and it moves around the state depending on who's hosting, but this year Sacramento. And I can tell you that commissioners generally get a lot out of it. They offer basic LAFCO classes, and then it also provides an opportunity for networking. There's also the board elections that have occurred in the past that San Benito LAFCO has been involved in. So I really do recommend maximizing that experience if you can.
Thank you for all of that clarification. I agree 100% about the training that occurs there, and to get a better understanding. We all sit on, or 4 out of 5 of us sit on a board or a council, and we have to make very sure that we are acting as stewards of the whole entire county versus a city member, a council member, or a board member. And I think we forget to change those hats, and it makes it very difficult to do the right thing. I think the training that happens is incredible. I think the experiences that are shared across the board are tremendous, and to have the opportunity for it to be so close, to be able to invite the whole entire commission to go. You said something at the very end. Networking is huge. Oh, on being on CalAFCO, the opportunity to sit on the CalAFCO board. They're changing things up this year, where they don't have a city representative or a county representative. Anybody could apply to be on that board, and I think that's a huge opportunity for a small county like us to continue to throw our names in the hats, and now to be able to do that anytime is hugely beneficial. There's a great disparity between the larger counties and larger cities. And to have us small communities who try so hard to be a part of the greater good, and get shot down because everybody knows everybody else. So we get left behind, and I think it's a huge opportunity for us to go and partake in something greater than ourselves. Thank you. My vote is to keep them the same, to keep them as proposed.
Anything? Any questions, comments?
I mean, I'll just say that I went to the conference last year, and I agree with Director Jordan. I mean, for me, because I was a new member, it was a very good experience, and I think that any new member should go for sure. I do agree that we want to be careful, fiscally careful, but if we can manage it, I think that especially for new members, they should go. It is concerning how high the registration fees are. It's crazy. I mean, it's a bummer because it is so close and it should be an easy thing for us to get to. But I think new members should go for sure. And but I also agree we have to be fiscally careful. I think there's some really good networking opportunities there too. I experienced that when I was there, but when I went, I was a very new member of LAVCO, and it was a really good experience. I would welcome the opportunity to go again. However, I would be okay to not go in an effort to allow newer members to attend if that's the will of the entire board, because I do think that especially for new members, it's a very, very important experience.
Chair, if I can make one more comment. The overall change in the budget is $1,850. So with the increase and the savings, it's negligible. And I don't remember, I think the last time we had every commissioner attend was when there was a meeting in Monterey. And I think at the time it was our public member who was awarded with, and I apologize, I forget what the award was, but in that case, everybody went and it was right next door. But that's the last time, and I don't know before that when every commissioner went. So again, padding the budget right now a little bit to provide an opportunity for all commissioners to go. And I think all commissioners, regardless of how many years they have been on this commission, gain a little bit more every time they go, so.
I have a question. So this would just be a one-off where all 5 go because it's so close in Sacramento, yeah?
Correct. Last year, we budgeted for 2 because it was in San Diego, so further away, logistics to get there, higher cost. So.
As a former public servant and manager, I know that when staff wanted to go to conferences, that we alternated each year, and of course we had to, watch our budget on that. And I know the costs of hotels is really outrageous now. But I would support this for this year, but going forward, it would seem prudent for us to alternate going to these conferences. Thanks.
Mr. Chair, I want to make sure we're clear, and I'm not saying we don't go to conferences. I've been to many of them. What I'm saying is we do it wisely. Staying at the hotel, the conference, that's a $450 a night hotel room. We all know that. And you can't share anymore. Everybody has to be in their own room for good reason. We just have to be wise about it. If it's in Sacramento, I agree. That's something we can all go. We just need to be wise about our dollars. And I think on off years, it should be obviously the newest members so they can learn about it. And you rotate it. That's it. And we just got to be careful with it because it's so easy to get into I want to go, I want to fly down there, I want to enjoy the nice hotel and do all these great things and meet all these great people. True. But it's a lot of money. And I think most taxpayers would be a little offended knowing we're staying in hotels for $450 and doing all these great things. But it is important to learn. Let's just be wise with our money. And I think, I don't think we need to have that much set aside. That's all I'm saying. Be careful.
Okay, great. Yeah, I really could go either way. I don't think we're gonna hit the number, frankly. I don't think we're going to use it all up. I would hope not. I think it's unlikely, so I would be fine leaving it. I'd be fine, dropping it down. It doesn't really make a difference, but, in light of what I've heard, I think I'm fine just leaving it as is and we can continue. And, like I said, we can reevaluate in future years when a conference is further away. But either way, I don't think I don't think it's prudent to get in the habit of, oh, it's there, let's burn it all up and stay in the nicest room, right? That's not what I think is, no one's gonna be happy with that. So no one's gonna be happy with us doing that, I should say. So let's just be prudent about it, and I don't imagine we'll be using it all up. So either way, but if there's, at this point, I believe we need to either approve or amend, right? There needs to be a motion one way or the other. If there's any further comments, we can.
And if we could close the public hearing if we're done with that portion.
Sure, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion to, I guess it would be, adopt the proposed 26-27 budget?
I'll make
Hang out.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2026-01, approving the proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27. And there are no, without modification.
Great, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Velasquez,
No.
Commissioner Mello,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
and Chair Zanger.
Yes.
That passes 4-1.
Great, thank you. So now, as we discussed earlier on, we're switching around our order here a little bit. We're gonna go into closed session at the end, so we'll switch to item 8.1, Executive Officer Communications.
Let's see here. The wastewater MSR is still in the midst of being updated due to recent changes in the status of the wastewater facility. The city MSRs are drafted and sent to each of the respective cities for review for accuracy and to ensure that they align with their sphere of influence. Proposed spheres of influence as they're adjusting their general plan, et cetera. So that being said, I'll have comments back from those cities by the end of this month and be able to meet with the city ad hoc committee ideally prior to our next meeting. So you may have more at our next meeting on the city MSRs. We'll see where we're at, but we're that close. The other item is we do have an application, LAFCO file 2026-551, that Hollister Toro Petroleum annexation. We have finalized the map and have sent it out for comment by respective agencies and departments, and you will be hearing that application at the next LAFCO meeting as well. Sunny Slope annexation, part 2. Is going to be coming to LAFCO soon. Both Tres Pinos and Sunny Slope County Water District are going to be holding public hearings this month to consider resolutions of annexation. So they will be submitting that application, and then that will be in front of you. I don't know when, just because there are a couple of things that need to occur first, but soon. I don't have an update on the tax sharing agreement between the city of Hollister and the county. I don't know if there's been any movement on that.
We have our city manager working on some things related to that.
Okay.
And we've had a lot going on in the city, so, but hopefully you'll have some communication from her really soon.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. And then finally, Cal LAFCO is having a staff workshop. This is specific to staff. They have it once a year in the spring, and it's going to be in Pismo Beach. I will be attending on behalf of this LAFCO as well as my other 4 LAFCOs. So LAFCO only reimburses 1/5 of the costs associated with me attending, but I am also running an entire session at the workshop on AI. So it should be interesting, yeah. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Is there any commissioner announcements or requests for future agenda items? Or comments, questions on anything that was just mentioned? Commissioner Jordan?
I don't think so. No, thank you.
Okay.
Can't press the button.
All right, well then that will do it for the informational items, and we'll now move to closed session. So we have one closed session item. Make sure there's no public comment on the closed session item before we go to closed session.
No, sir.
Okay, then we will be back in a little while.